Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am JoeyFrancess, your life, love, and relationship coach. First and foremost, I want to thank you for stopping by and checking out my first podcast. I sincerely hope that everything I say is either entertaining or provides you with some sort of insight or info that could really help you out. See, since I published my first two books, self-help books, I really wanted another way to reach out and get in touch with people. And I figured this is probably one of the best ways. So here we are, which sort of leads into the topic I want to talk about. Are you ready? And I understand that's a very, very broad question that, depending on its context, has different meanings. Are you ready for lunch? Yeah, I could go for some lunch. Are you ready to make a big purchase in your life? Are you ready to move to a new city, town, or country? Are you ready for that promotion? Are you ready to start a new relationship? And obviously, with the context of this podcast, that's the one that we'll tackle the most. But just to touch base with the first questions, it's just a matter of giving yourself a chance to really think about all the things that are involved with what you're about to do, whether it be make a new purchase. Are you going to be able to pay it off? I mean, that's obviously the biggest question. Is it going to be a burden on you? Is it going to cause you stress? Are you ready for that promotion? Are you ready to take on more responsibility? Are you ready to get paid more money? Obviously, because we all want more money. But yeah, are you ready to start a relationship? And that's the biggest one that I think most people lie to themselves about. Now, I am an actual dating and relationship coach. And when people do come to me, it's one of the first questions I ask them. Are you ready? Are you ready to date? Are you ready to start a relationship? And obviously, because they're coming to me, most people just say yes. And I could even ask why, and they say, well, I spent time working on myself. I've healed from my past traumas, depending on the type of person. And I feel like I am ready to move on and start something new and fresh, and I'm excited about it. And I say, that's wonderful, that's great. But let me ask you this question. Are you ready to give someone the power to hurt you? Let that sink in for a second. Because when we're talking about dating and relationships, that's essentially what it is. When we open up and be vulnerable with someone, we're allowing somebody to essentially see us in our most nakedest, rawest form. Almost completely full of emotion. And giving someone that access to us, that could lead to somebody hurting us. Because obviously we feel safe. We feel that this person belongs in our life and in our future. And that's why we're allowing them this access. And if it were to end, we feel hurt and betrayed and closed off. And we don't necessarily want to allow the next person that same sort of access. And that's why I asked that question. Because believe it or not, the majority of people that do say to me they are ready to date or they are ready for a relationship will say no when it comes to them being ready to allowing someone the power to hurt them. And again, it's completely understandable. I mean, we are older now. Things are a lot different. And I don't mean necessarily the way that dating looks today. I mean within ourselves. When we were younger, we have the time and the latitude to make mistakes and date the wrong people. Date people for the wrong reasons. Number one, when we're younger, we have no idea what we're looking for. And even more importantly, we have no idea of what we don't want. But as we date and as we get into relationships and as we get hurt, which I honestly believe is an important part of life, that's when we learn our lessons. That's when we get to this point to say, hey, you know what? I have a better idea of what I'm looking for. I have a better idea of what I don't want. And then comes, but are we ready to allow someone the power to hurt us? Because that is the biggest thing. None of us want to get hurt. I mean, when you start talking about dating with pretty much anybody, we all put up walls, right? Everybody talks about, oh, the walls that we put up. And it's going to take time for someone to break down those walls. You know what? I understand that. I don't necessarily agree with us doing that because that kind of defeats the purpose of putting ourselves out there and being open for a relationship or being open to learn about someone and someone to learn about us. Because what do you learn from the moment that you meet them to the moment that the walls come down that make you put your walls down, right? It's just a level of safety. And a lot of those times, that safety is just time spent. It's almost like it's, you put in your hours. So I'm going to lower the drawbridge and let you in. Sometimes it's because we have an actual connection with somebody and we feel very safe and comfortable with them to do that. And like I said, sometimes we just fool ourselves and think that, oh, you know what, I've been talking to this person and dating them for, like a month now. Maybe it's time that I open up. But even in that case, a lot of people are still being super protective of themselves and still keeping people at an arm's reach because they don't want someone to be able to get so attached and so deep inside them that if they were to break up with them or something were to happen, that they would be hurt. It's like we're just trying to protect ourselves. But within doing that, we aren't allowing ourselves to be open and honest with another human being, to create a deep and meaningful connection with another human being. And that's why, if you aren't ready to give someone the power to hurt you, then you should take time in trying to figure out why, for starters. Because obviously there's some sort of past dating trauma, relationship trauma that's stopping you from doing that. And come to terms with it. Aside from that is also figuring out more of the things you're looking for in a person and figure out more of the things you don't want in a person, so that when you do meet someone and they do meet your standards, then there's a better chance that it's more fitting for you. And here's the opposite to that. Don't give people leeway if it's a hard yes or a hard no for you. An example, if, for instance, you meet someone and you start getting to know them and you like them and everything's great, but then you find out that maybe they party too much, they drink too much, or they smoke. And these things are a hard no for you. You've been through life, that's in your past. You want something a little bit more toned down, more relaxing, more enjoyable. You want to do different things. And that's not you anymore. And it's a hard no for you. And this person says to you, hey, wait a minute. But I'm trying to quit, put it this way. If we were to start dating, you would be a great reason for me not to go out, or me not to drink, or me not to smoke. And now it's up to you to gamble your future happiness, believing this person who, let's be honest, you don't know very well, on the fact that they're going to say, because of you, they're going to stop. Now, that's a decision that you need to make yourself. But personally, for me, in those situations, you walk away. They aren't who you want. They might have some amazing qualities, that you want in a person, but they also have the things that you don't want in a person. And you have to take it all. You can't just pick and choose when it comes to another human being. You can't just say, I love these things about you, I hate these things about you, so I'm only going to date you when these things are in front of me. And when the bad stuff comes, I don't even want to talk to you. It doesn't work that way. You have to accept people for who they are, as they are standing in front of you, not who they promise to be in a month, 2 months, 6 months, week, month, whatever, year time. No, you have to accept them who they are, as they are, standing right in front of you. And that leads me to this. And I will say this over and over again. I might say this every single week. The two most important cornerstones of any relationship, and I don't care if it's a friendship, I don't care if it's a romantic relationship, I don't care if it's a business partnership, I don't care if it's between a client and you. Communication and acceptance. Those are the two most important cornerstones for any relationship. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to tell someone what you want or tell someone what you're feeling. I mean, communication is just as important as eating and breathing and drinking water. Because without it, we might not get any of those things and just die. Like, let's be honest. And acceptance. This is a big one. Because so many people will get into relationships out of convenience, because it's like, hey, you know what? I've been dating this person for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks. I like the majority of them, and the things that I don't like, they promise that they're gonna stop or move on from it, and then they don't. And then you remind them a month after that, and then they don't. And then you remind them 2 months after that, and then they don't. And then you remind them 3 months after that, and then they don't. And then you start to resent them. And then you start to look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, what am I doing? Do I either accept this behavior from them, or do I cut this off and move on? And then we get into the whole idea of sunk cost fallacies, where just because you've invested so much doesn't mean that it's worth your while any longer. So, communication and acceptance. Know what you want, know how to articulate it, obviously, and accept people as they are right in front of you. And that means if you have your hard list of wants and you have your hard list of don't wants, and they're missing or having each and any one of those things, you need to walk away. And the sooner you do it, the easier it is, so that you don't become too invested, and then it becomes much tougher. And then you don't get hurt in the long run. Going back to, are you ready to give someone the power to hurt you? So, with that being said, I think I spoke enough. I mean, it's a little short for podcast standards, but leave them wanting more, right? Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for listening. If you made it to this point, if by any chance you have a question for me, whether it be about you, a friend, a situationship, that you would like my input on, feel free to email me at JoeyFrancess@gmail.com, and we'll definitely talk about it. Again, thank you so much. I wish you the most incredible day, week, month, and year. Till next time.